We keep hearing about threats to America's democracy. Occasionally, I'll even hear someone point out that the United States is not a democracy, but a republic. How many Americans know the difference? And just what are the responsibilities of the federal government to protect that Republican form of government? We'll discuss that next on the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to know wherever you make your stand. Came from a long through line of everyday Americans.
Hello there, everyday Americans, and welcome to the Constitution Study, where we read, we study the Constitution, we teach the rising generation to be free. I'm glad you could join me. As always, you can find out more at constitutionstudy.com. You can sign up for the newsletter. You can join our online study. You can ask questions. It's all there, and I'll talk a bit more about that at the end of this episode. But for now, let's talk about the responsibilities of a Republican form of government. If you follow the Constitution Study for any length of time, you know that I'm a stickler for definitions. So the first thing we need to do is define some terms. Now, Webster's 1828 dictionary defines democracy as government by the people, a form of government in which the supreme power is lodged in the hands of the people collectively, or in which the people exercise the powers of legislation, such as the government of Athens. Now, it also defines a republic as a commonwealth, a state in which the exercise of sovereign power is lodged in representatives elected by the people. In modern usage, it differs from a democracy or democratic state in which the people exercise the powers of sovereignty in person. Yet the democracies of Greece are often called republics. The main difference between a democracy and a republic is the election of representation. I've met several people who believe this is a difference without distinction, but it's an important difference. So as some of our founding fathers put it, we are now forming a republican government. Real liberty is neither found in despotism or the extremes of democracy, but in moderate governments. That's from Alexander Hamilton. Democracy is nothing more than mob rule, where 51% of the people may take away the rights of the other 49%. That was Thomas Jefferson. Democracy, while it lasts, is more bloody than either aristocracy or monarchy. Remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There is never a democracy that did not commit suicide. That was John Adams. And of course, my personal favorite from Benjamin Franklin. Democracy is two wolves and a lamb voting on what to have for lunch. Liberty is a well-armed lamb contesting the vote. Now, history has shown that democracies are not the peace, love, and kumbaya environments we've all been led to believe. All that is necessary to see the distinction between a democracy and the republic we have here is to look at the differences between the American and French revolutions. Sure, we had our turmoil in the United States, but we still live under the same constitution and government that we created in 1787. Compare that with the turmoil in France, with the reign of terror which led to the collapse of the republic and the introduction of an empire under Napoleon. The fundamental concept behind a democracy is majority rule. Don't get me wrong, allowing the majority to decide a course of action is generally a good thing. But there are three major problems running a country that way. First, how do you get 330 million people to vote on legislation, much less take the time and effort necessary to consider the long-term impact? Simply take a look at the ballot proposition amendment process in California and Florida, and you can see what I'm talking about. Somebody gets enough signatures to put something on the ballot. The special interest groups promote or disparage it. And then most of the voters make an emotional decision without reading the amendment, much less considering it in depth. Which leads us to the second major issue. See, it's rarely a majority that actually makes the decision, but a vocal and influential minority that steers the majority in their preferred direction. Look at the social changes over the last few years. According to Statista, homosexuals, bisexuals, and transgenders represent only about 5.6% of the population. But look at the demands they make over the rest of us. Or consider the influence political parties have used to direct their members' decisions on numerous topics. Now with the media, social media, and politicians working hard to restrict your ability to see anything other than the approved narrative, an even smaller group of people are directing the will of the majority. Lastly, in a democracy, If someone or some group can convince a majority of the people to infringe on your rights, then it becomes law. See, in a democracy, your right to freedom of religion, speech, and press only exists at the sufferance of the majority. Your right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures, to a trial by an impartial jury, or even to petition the government for a redress of grievance can be taken away by the simple majority vote. Now, while a republic deals with the voting issue, it does nothing to fix the influence of a minority over the crowd or to the protections of rights. See, your legislators are just as influenced by vocal minorities as the people are. And in a simple republic, a majority vote of the legislature could take away your rights, which is why America is not merely a republic. We are a constitutional republic. Webster defines the Constitution as the established form of government in a state, kingdom, or country, a system of fundamental rules, principles, and ordinances for the government of a state or nation. In free states, the Constitution is paramount to the statutes or laws enacted by the legislature, limiting or controlling its power. And in the United States, the legislature is created and its power is designated by the Constitution. By establishing the Constitution, not just by custom, but by law, to be the supreme law of the land, means there's a check upon government's ability to infringe on your rights. Now, neither the legislature nor the people can take away your rights by simple vote. Only the actions of 3/4 of the states can change the Constitution. As with any other law, it's merely ink on paper, or in this case, ink on parchment. The Constitution itself can do nothing to protect your rights. It is up to we, the people, to use it to do so. So if the American people do not uphold the Constitution, then we will lose the republic. As Daniel Webster said, "Hold on, my friends, to the Constitution and to the republic for which it stands. Miracles do not cluster, and what has happened once in 6,000 years may not happen again. Hold on to the Constitution, because if the American Constitution should fall, there will be anarchy throughout the world." So if the United States is a republic, what about the states themselves? What form of governments do states have, and what role does the federal government have over them? Well, according to Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive, when the legislature cannot convene, against domestic violence. Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution tasks the United States with 3 objectives regarding the states: ensuring they have a republican form of government, protecting them from invasion, and when called upon, to protect them against domestic violence. Let's take a look at each of these individually. Simply put, the United States is to guarantee that each state has a republican form of government. What does that mean? The government of each state was created by its own constitution. In those constitutions, 3 branches of each state government are defined, procedures are established, and limits are imposed. Many, but not all, states have in their constitutions a statement that all power is inherent in the people. This is the sovereign power Noah Webster mentioned in his definition of a republic. Each state constitution establishes a process for electing representatives in the legislature and for electing the state's chief executive, the governor. Again, many, but I don't believe all states also elect those who serve in the judicial branch. Now, Congress, when admitting a new state to the Union under Article 4, Section 3, must ensure that they have a republican form of government. Beyond that, what is the role of the United States in the governing of the states? Some have claimed that the United States has the power to oversee elections in the states under the guarantee of a republican form of government. Others claim the United States has the power to oversee how a state's apportioned representation is allocated in an effort to guarantee not only a republican form of government, but one that is considered to be fair by the feds. But does guaranteeing a form of government include regulating the processes of that government, or is it just another form of usurpation of the state power by those in Washington, D.C.? The recent influx of illegal aliens with the tacit approval of the current administration have led some to declare this an invasion. But does that rhetoric match up with the definition? Again, from Webster's 1828 dictionary, invasion is defined as a hostile entrance into the possessions of another, particularly the entrance of a hostile army into a country for the purpose of conquest or plunder, or the attack of a military force. And the Free Legal Dictionary defines invasion as the entry of a country by a public enemy making war. So does the illegal entrance into this country constitute an invasion? Does it matter how many are illegally entering the country? So according to both Noah Webster and the Free Legal Dictionary, the answer is no. There is no hostile army entering our country. Neither is there an attack by a military force. What we have is the natural consequences of the states handing over their power to regulate immigration to another, specifically the United States. I'm sure many of you are complaining right about now that immigration is a federal issue, but not according to the Constitution. Search all you want, but you will not find the power to regulate immigration in the Constitution of the United States. Instead, what you will find is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4, where Congress is given the power to establish a uniform role of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. See, Congress has the power to create uniform rules for becoming a citizen, not for immigration from a foreign country. So according to the 10th Amendment, any powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by to the states, are reserved to the states. Therefore, the power to regulate immigration is a state power. By asking Washington to do what they should have done for themselves, these border states have left themselves vulnerable to the whims of Washington, D.C. politics. Does the United States have the authority to deal with domestic violence in the states? Only when the legislature of a state, or its executive when the legislature is not in session, requests it. That is why President Trump did not send in federal forces to quell the violence that shook so many of our major cities in the summer of 2020. The states didn't ask for it. Yes, President Trump sent in federal agents, but only to protect federal property. This was to fulfill his duty to execute the laws of the United States. Without a request to quell domestic violence from the states, the president had no legal authority to get involved. Now, after the Constitutional Convention, when asked what type of government they had given us, Benjamin Franklin stated, "A republic if you can keep it." The American people should take that admonition very seriously because today we are losing the republic. How can we expect the United States to guarantee a Republican form of government to the states when so many in the states don't realize we are a republic? More and more people either do not know or do not care that we are a republic, not a democracy. They are promoting the idea that everything must be democratic and that anything which they can get a majority to acquiesce to must be done. It is unfortunate that some go so far as to claim the American people are required to acquiesce to whatever the current political dogma demands, whether it contradicts the Constitution or not. Those who have handed over their responsibility to the federal government are no better. Whether individuals, localities, or states, they further degrade the republic by violating the consent of the governed codified in the Constitution, weakening the sovereignty of the people in favor of political expediency. The Constitution for the United States of America is the oldest national constitution in the world, and second only to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in age. 234 years is a good run, but that is no guarantee that it will continue. If we wish to uphold the Constitution and the republic for which it stands, then it is up to we the people to work to keep it. Otherwise, our future may look more like Napoleonic France or even worse, the reign of terror that preceded it. Democracies, republics, constitutions, some people think it's a waste of time to even consider all these things, but I think not. You see, by understanding that we are a republic, that we hire representatives to represent us, to exercise our power in our name, is what gives us the authority to look them in the eye and say, "Bad representative," and replace them with somebody else. It's the understanding of our form of government that secures the republic. And the fact that we don't teach this anymore in our schools is our fault as well. So, yes, the distinction between a democracy, a republic, and a constitutional republic are extremely important. But ultimately, it is up to we, the people, to decide, will we enforce the supreme law of the land, or will we let those we elect tell us what to do? Who decides? Who's in charge? Those are all questions that we have to ask. Now, if you want to find out more, again, head to constitutionstudy.com. You can find the associated article, you can find other articles, and please share them. That's what they're there for. I don't charge for anything on the Constitution study. You can use it, you can share it. It is there for you. Now, if you can help the work that I'm doing, if you can donate to the cause, I certainly would appreciate that. Maybe you want to buy a book or a t-shirt, or maybe you just want to donate. I'm not a 501c3, so it's not tax deductible, but you can do that all there through the website. Now, if you would check it out, the Constitution study, online study, is still going on. Yes, the live free portion is concluded, but I'm still going on with the rest of the Constitution. You can find out more by going to constitutionstudy.com/study. You can find out about the study itself. You can go view the free portion, the recorded versions, and then you can decide if you want to sign up for the rest of it. Also, I'm putting together my 2022 tour. So if you head to constitutionstudy.com/tour, you can find out more about the tour, and you can find tour dates. And most importantly, you can request that I come speak to you, to your group, or at your event. Just fill out the form, and I'll reach out and we can discuss how we make that happen. These are all tools available to you. And there's one more I want to talk about. You see, the Constitution study also works with the Constitution scholars. That's my other site. So men and women that want to be scholars, that want to be students of the Constitution, they go to constitutionscholars.com and they can find each other. They can discuss, they can debate, they can engage. There are online books available. There are online courses available, and you can try them all out absolutely free. Again, no charge. Now, there is a for-fee mentoring program. If you want to become a teacher, if you really want to get good at studying the Constitution, and you want to become a teacher, check it out. Just look for the apprentices group, and you'll find out more. Most of all, whether you share the work that we're doing, whether you sign on and donate or purchase anything, or you just take this information and use it and share it with friends and family, it's important that we all do our part to protect the constitutional republic that is the United States of America. Otherwise, we'll be explaining to our children and our children's children why we let those freedoms and liberties and rights slip through our fingers and left them to fight for it when we weren't willing to. And hopefully, I'll see you here next time for the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to know.